this is pretty much serious, and I want to talk about it. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders and some of the trade rumors that's been going around. I mean, Billy Halian is one of the columnists who are writing these things up, and it's been going on since Shedeur was traded himself. If you notice, the Browns traded for a pick to get Shedeur.
I also can't blame anybody who says, I don't necessarily trust this coaching staff to develop a quarterback or to evaluate the quarterback position. They've made some really oddball decisions at this position over the last several years, and I don't blame anybody for questioning, do these guys actually know what they're doing?
The Dallas Cowboys just dropped a money bag the size of Texas on the Cleveland Browns for Shedeur Sanders. Yes, you heard that right. Jerry Jones is moving like the N.F.L is his personal auction house, waving cash around like he's bidding on some priceless art piece.
It's more of the subtle things we're noticing. A lot of franchises, yes, although they were part of the collusion, I don't think the collusion told them they can't then go and either sign for Shedeur or trade for Shedeur Sanders, meaning that the logics and optics that are being used is more of, okay, we did our part, we didn't draft him in the first, second, third, fourth, or whatever, but there was no stipulations in the collusion contracts where we can't pick him up. So a lot of trade offers been made to get Shedeur Sanders in the last 3 months. I'm talking about a lot of trades offers, that is, and the Cleveland Browns have been the organization that's been denying.
Did the Browns even pause to think about this? Did Shedeur's agent nearly pass out? Or is this just another one of those cowboy blockbuster moves that ends up fizzling out like a cheap firework? This whole saga feels less like football and more like a reality show called Who Wants to Buy a Quarterback, hosted by none other than Jerry Jones. Just picture it. The old billionaire strutting across the stage with a mic in one hand and the Cowboys checkbook in the other, throwing out offers like he's collecting rare treasures. And right now, the crown jewel he's chasing harder than anything else is Shedeur Sanders. And please, make sure you hit that subscribe button because stories like this just keep getting wilder. The Browns thought they finally struck gold when they landed Shedeur.
I don't either. Like, what kind of long jump Carl Lewis leap are we making here? They traded up to wreck his career. That's how diabolical the Browns are. They traded up so that they could say, screw the Sanders family. We're going to show him. Yeah, we're going to run a ball into the ground. What he's very clearly saying for anybody with a lick of common sense is when they left the building Friday night, they didn't think he was going to be there in the 5th round. They had already had their quarterback. Of course they weren't still going to consider taking another quarterback when he kept falling and kept falling and kept falling on Saturday, regardless of whose decision it was to move up to get him. As an organization, they made the decision to move up to get him, not because they're trying to tank this poor kid's career, because they have a job.
A quarterback with swagger, poise, and that magic touch that turns busted plays into viral highlights. In Cleveland, that's like dropping a 5-star steakhouse in the middle of a rundown parking lot. It doesn't make sense, but wow, it was exactly what the city had been starving for.
The thing I would say is that they're desperate. They're very desperate. Like the entire organization is desperate. And if you really think they're going back to the coaches' offices and all getting around the table after sessions and being like, guys, Shedeur is on.
Let's keep it real. Without Shedeur, the Browns don't stand a chance. That's not even shade. It's just history. For decades, Cleveland's been the graveyard of quarterbacks, cycling through them like a teenager who can't pick a Netflix show. Nothing sticks, nothing satisfies, and most of the time, you regret pressing play. But Shedeur, he's built different.
But I'm going to answer this question by saying Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to tell you why. I think he's being set up to fail. That's right, I'm going to say it. Okay. Here we are on national television, right? There's been 11 practices, if I remember correctly. He's been starting against he's been playing against the third unit. He's 4th on the depth chart. And then suddenly you throw him into the start lineup, and he hasn't had any reps with the first team at all. Think about that. So you're just gonna throw him to the wolves like that, huh? I mean, you know, if he had first team snaps in practice, I don't say that.
He's the kind of quarterback who walks into the locker room and suddenly even the Gatorade tastes better. So of course, here comes Dallas stomping in with their big cowboy boots, yelling to the world that they're ready to write a check bigger than Texas itself. Why waste years developing a quarterback when you can just throw money at one like you're shopping in the NFL mall?
I'll be honest about Shedeur. I think the plan is to destroy his stock. Not drafting him would have been too direct. Draft him to a crowded QB squad. Don't give him any reps. Make up a reason to not start him. Keep him on the bench or cut him. The last thing teams want is for him to shine and make them look stupid for passing on him. The Browns owner clearly separated himself so that he wouldn't be on the wrong side of the black ball. Whoever this is said this perfectly. So don't be surprised when they try to play it out.
And let's not kid ourselves. This is the most Dallas Cowboys move ever. This team has a history of chasing stars, whether or not they actually fit. Jerry Jones probably wakes up, looks in the mirror, and says, "How can I drop millions today on something shiny?"
The Cleveland season ever not gotten really weird?
Yeah, I mean, what does that mean?
I don't know.
Does that mean Flacco and get like we already know he's the third quarterback. So what? Nothing weird has to happen. The first two quarterbacks got to get hurt or be terrible.
Yeah, that's.
And then he'll get a chance.
That's what she means, I think.
Yeah. So, but who didn't know that already?
I think we all knew that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know why that's a news story.
Because it makes.
I mean, she's the first person to put it in print where she says he's not playing this year.
But he's going to play this year, I assume, because I don't think these guys are going to make it through the season. Joe Flacco, no way he's going to make it more than 4 or 5 weeks. It seems very unlikely.
And when Shadow lights it up, it's like dangling car keys in front of a baby. Jerry just can't resist. But here's the twist. The Cowboys aren't even starving for a quarterback. They've already got Dak Prescott, who's basically the human version of a Toyota Camry. He's reliable, solid, gets you where you need to go. Maybe even looks clean after a wash. But let's be honest, nobody's writing country ballads about Dak Prescott. Meanwhile, the Browns are clutching Shadow like overprotective parents who finally have a prodigy on their hands. After years of misery, they've got a quarterback who makes fans keep their heads high instead of hiding under paper bags. And now, the Cowboys are waving cash and draft picks like they're trying to buy out the entire candy store. Cleveland fans have been waiting their whole lives for a quarterback worth believing in. So selling Shadow would be like finding water in the desert, then dumping it out just to keep the bottle. And yet, here come the Dallas Cowboys, the kings of chaos, tossing Shedeur Sanders into the spotlight like fuel on a bonfire. You can already see it. Headlines screaming quarterback controversy, endless fan debates, and a non-stop media circus.
Browns is the Browns. This is the most hype they've ever had. Like, it's the Browns.
Exactly.
So, he got drafted to the wrong team. That's Sanders' name. I'm telling you right now, there's only one person that understands business, and he will trade his quarterback for Sanders. Dallas is where Sanders is going to be.
Wow.
Because that name on the back of that jersey is legacy, and he's going to want that to ring bells around the globe. Jerry is going to have him.
Dak Prescott wouldn't just be glancing over his shoulder. He'd be building a panic room in his own locker. And Jerry Jones, he'd be loving every second of it. Picture him parading Shadow around Cowboy Stadium like he just discovered a brand new crown jewel. But let's be real. This isn't just about football. This is about ego, power, and spectacle. The Browns are fighting to hold on to their slice of relevance. The Cowboys are trying to buy back their glory days. And Shadow? He just wants that ball in his hands to prove, once again, that when opportunity knocks, he doesn't just answer, he kicks the whole door off the hinges. For Cleveland, holding on to Shadow is like a broke college kid holding on to their last packet of ramen. You're not giving that up for anything. But here comes Dallas, dangling a 5-course feast, steak, lobster, and dessert, stacked to the ceiling. And let's not ignore the Browns' history. They've burned through more quarterbacks than the Kardashians have brand deals. Hype, heartbreak, and rehab, it's been the same sad cycle for decades. Suddenly, Shadow shows up like the one person who doesn't ghost them after 3 dates, so of course, they're holding on like their lives depend on it. But Jerry Jones doesn't take no for an answer.
Shedeur got on the field. You watching the game, Chad, there's a lot of Shedeur Sanders fans. What did you think of his first outing?
Listen, all the talk and the narratives and the storylines and whatever you want to say, sooner or later that ball's about to snap. And that young man we watched at Colorado was one of the best football players in the nation, is now looking like one of the best football players in the nation at another level. That's what it was. I knew the collusion and all the stuff, like I said, you want to go through. You saw what Shedeur Sanders was capable of. We all knew what Shedeur Sanders was capable of, and he's going to show that he should start there.
You just know he's got the Browns front office on speed dial, calling before breakfast with new offers. How about 3 first-rounders and a truckload of Texas brisket? And if that doesn't work, you can bet the next deal will come with naming rights. Welcome to Jerry World 2.0. That's the Jerry playbook. Flashy, relentless, and always ready to put on a show when the lights are brightest. Meanwhile, poor Dak Prescott is sitting there like a kid whose parents just brought home a shiny new puppy. And he knows exactly who's about to get all the attention.
We all didn't expect this, of course, but I feel like with God, anything possible, everything possible. I don't feel like this happened, for no reason. All this is of course, fuel to the fire. And under no circumstance, we all know this shouldn't have happened. But we understand we're on the bigger and better things. Tomorrow's the day. We're going to be happy regardless. Legendary.
At first, Dak is smiling, but deep down, he knows that puppy is about to steal every ounce of attention. Prescott's career has been a wild roller coaster, sometimes thrilling, sometimes stomach-turning. And it's left Cowboys fans constantly asking themselves if they should have hopped on a different ride. Now, with Shadow lurking in the picture, that safety harness is ready to snap clean off. And don't even pretend Cowboys fans wouldn't flip on Prescott the second Shadow hits the field. This is a fan base that demands a Super Bowl every single year, even though the last time they actually won one, Blockbuster was still handing out VHS tapes. These fans aren't patient, they aren't forgiving. The moment Shadow throws one perfect spiral, the chants will erupt. We want Shadow! Prescott could go 20 for 20 on passes, and folks would still be scrolling through Shadow's Instagram just to see what shoes he rocked to the game. Endorsements, commercials, late-night interviews, Shadow's got all that waiting on a silver platter. He'd be the first quarterback in history with his own cologne line before year 2, and that's the power of the Cowboys brand. Meanwhile, Cleveland would lose its mind. Imagine freezing through a tailgate, only to watch the Browns trade away the one quarterback who doesn't make you cry into your beer at night. It would be a full-on mutiny in Ohio. Draft picks sound tempting, sure, but they're basically scratch-off tickets. Shiny, cheap, and most of them end up as duds.
It's him to be the security blanket, which is what you brought him there for to begin with. You didn't bring him there to lead the Browns. You brought him to be a security blanket in the event that you couldn't find somebody else who could do it. That's why people in Cleveland were looking at it last year. Why the hell isn't he here last year? What the hell you let him get out the door for before you ultimately brought him back after the season he had a couple of years ago? But I do think it's important to bring this one nugget up. I'm looking at the average time to throw for a quarterback last year in the National Football League. Dan, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was like at 2.42 to 3.14 seconds, if I remember correctly, based on what I read.
Sure.
The average time that Shedeur Sanders had to throw the other night was 3.48 seconds. And the reality is that in the National Football League, you know this better than me, Shefty. Obviously, you do too.
Dallas is out here trying to sell those picks as pure gold while holding the real prize in their back pocket. Shedeur Sanders. Now picture the chaos if Cleveland actually caves. Shadow heads to Dallas, and the Cowboys unleash him like a secret weapon straight out of a blockbuster movie. ESPN, Fox, every sports network would stalk his every move. Touchdown passes, pre-game outfits, even how he ties his shoelaces. The hype would be nuclear. But then what? Dallas is left with Dak as a backup storyline. Fans are once again drowning in disappointment, and Jerry Jones is already on the hunt for his next shiny toy. On the flip side, the Browns would finally have a shot at building something real, an honest-to-goodness dynasty around Shadow. That's a dream Cleveland's been chasing since the 1960s. They just need to hold on tight and pray they don't fumble it all away, which, let's be real, is always on the table with this franchise. If there's one thing the Browns are absolute experts at, besides breaking their fans' hearts, it's self-sabotage. They could literally have the winning lottery numbers scribbled on a napkin and still find a way to lose the ticket. Keeping Shadow should be the obvious move, but with Cleveland's luck, you half expect them to trip over their own shoelaces trying to pull it off. The wild part? Shadow himself can't lose in this scenario. He's the one guy in this entire circus who walks away looking like a winner no matter what happens. Stay with the Browns, and he's the savior of a tortured franchise finally seeing light after decades of misery. Head to the Cowboys, and suddenly, he's the NFL's next megastar under the brightest spotlight in all of sports. Either way, Shadow's got the upper hand. Both sides are desperate. Dallas wants to prove they're still a championship machine, while Cleveland is fighting to show they can actually build something worth cheering for. And right in the middle stands Shedeur Sanders, cool as ice, knowing that no matter which jersey he's wearing, the cameras will follow, the fans will scream, and the headlines will never stop. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and drop a comment, because this drama is only getting crazier, and you don't want to miss what happens next.